Well, yeah, I mean, the biggest development in the last 24 hours really is the range of the missiles from Gaza. In previous days, they'd only reached the town of Sderot, as far maybe perhaps as Ashkelon, which is about 10 or 11 miles north of it. But in the last 24 hours, they've reached a lot further. They've reached the city of Ashdod, which is halfway between Gaza and Tel Aviv. And last night, there was a fatal attack there, killing a 39-year-old woman who was running for cover in a bus stop in the street. And so today, just people in that city of just over 200,000 people, they're starting to come to grips with this new reality that they are also in a rocket race. So people are gathering at the spot of where the rocket landed, checking out how they need to get into their shelters, and just all of a sudden facing this new reality that they too are inside the rocket range of Hamas. Well, it's hard to see the rockets coming from Gaza. It's even hard to hear them coming from Gaza. What you do hear necessarily is the siren there. Israel has a sophisticated warning system which lets off a siren when there's an incoming rocket. Depending on how far you are, you have 15, 30, or 45 seconds to seek cover. So yes, that happens several times a day. Just about a half an hour ago, a siren was heard where I am right now, and had to run out the door and find a shelter and wait for it to pass. You hear a explosion in the distance, and then you head back to what you're doing before, and that sort of drill repeats itself several times during the day. Well, it's interesting. There's really a mixture among Israelis in southern Israel. On the one hand, there's fear, there's trepidation, there's a sense that these more distance to the rockets, and they're claiming more casualties. 4 Israelis have been killed in the last few days. On the other hand, there's also a certain satisfaction that after 8 years of relentless fire on the communities around Gaza, many feel that Israel is finally striking back against their tormentors in the Gaza Strip and getting back at Hamas, and perhaps in the long run maybe doing them a favor because they're hitting so hard against the Hamas infrastructure that it might be good in the long run. So it's a real mixed bag for the people here in Israel right now. Well, the issue of a ground option is sort of hovering there. So far, orders been given. Israel's been pushing it off, knowing that it will necessarily mean that there's higher risk of casualties. Soldiers themselves aren't really speaking about it. They're not allowed to speak to the media. They're kind of kept away, sort of in closed military zones where you really can't get to them. But as far as people who have spoken with soldiers and as far as citizens on the front lines here, there is a sense that unless there is some kind of agreement to a ceasefire, unless Hamas gives up, that a ground invasion, some kind of ground invasion, either limited or wider, is pretty much inevitable at this point. Well, yeah, Gaza's a very small place, and so as far as the Israeli Air Force is concerned, there really is a limited amount of things they can actually hit at. They caught Hamas completely off guard on Saturday when the operation started, and that was when most of the casualties took place, striking against military positions, headquarters, etc. In the last few days, they're really going towards more smaller targets, and that's why the death toll has been dropping in the Gaza Strip. So as far as this is concerned, that's another thing which is pushing towards the ground operation because it's almost maxed out its opportunities from the air.